Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are doing a deck tech for Sephiroth, Fabled Soldier, and One-Winged Angel. So the commander is the one on the left, and he does flip. His backside is the one on the right. So the primary commander, when he enters the battlefield or attacks, you may sacrifice another creature if you do draw a card. And then whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. If this is the 4th time this ability has resolved, you transform him to Sephiroth, One-Winged Angel. Flying Supernova, as this creature transforms into him, you get an emblem, which is just whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 and we gain 1. Then whenever he attacks, we may sacrifice any number of creatures and draw that many cards, and then with the emblem, we gain that much life and target opponent loses that much life. So this is mono black Aristocrats. So why play Sephiroth? Because Final Fantasy is cool. Beyond that, it's because his enter the battlefield is a draw and attack, which is also very nice. So it's not just a one-off thing. Any creature dying also triggers him. So he's extremely easy to flip, and I'll show you a handful of the ways in the deck that we can do that. He's really neat because he's just a blood artist in the command zone, which is honestly ideal for almost any Aristocrat deck. And he grants you the emblem very easily. Like, it's not very difficult to have 4 creatures die in a turn, especially when you're kind of in control of that happening. So the game plan is we don't need him to win. Like, he's an Aristocrat, a blood artist in the zone, but that's kind of what the whole deck does. So even without him, like, we can still win fine. But early game, we want to drop as many rocks and small guys as we can, really just get as much mana and as big of a board presence as soon as possible. Mid game, I say turn 4 or so, we just want to play him, draw a card, sack a creature, drain everyone. And then late game, which isn't even really late game, it's more like turn 4, honestly. It's a pretty quick deck. We can have him flip over, like almost immediately the turn after we have him come in. Sacrifice a few creatures, flip it for an emblem, and drain opponents. Now I say late game, I put 4 emblems plural because I expect Sephiroth to die, and I think we can even kill him on our own. I don't think he's that challenging. So what we can do is late game, right, is have him enter. We'll pay 5 mana instead of his 3 for the command tax, and then we will flip him over, have him transform again, and then we'll get another emblem. So I feel like in a very realistic game, we could probably get 3 emblems going. I don't think that's like out of the question. But that's kind of what we want to do, is really just start killing off our creatures and draining our opponents. Channel and deck stuff. Is the deck's like 430 bucks at the making of the video? Honestly, Sephiroth is most of that price. You can honestly cut a couple of the cards, just say nick those, save yourself 40 bucks. Either way, it's not too bad. A lot of the cards are more hyperinflated, especially the Final Fantasy ones. But either way, get the cards you need from the link right down below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Now, going into it, we have the only Planeswalker, Lily Dreadhorde General. We are a deck that cares about killing our own creatures, so whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. That's pretty solid. Now, the plus is also really good, just to poop out like a 2/2 zombie every single turn, and then if we minus her, we can make everyone sack 2 creatures. We're probably just going to kill off some tokens or that zombie that she made. Either way, very fine, and it's also a great way to make Sephiroth flip. Let's talk about that. So Sephiroth comes in, -4 Lily, right? We'll have to sacrifice 2 other creatures, but assuming each opponent has 2 creatures, 8 creatures are dying, which is more than double what he needs to flip. Then Sephiroth flips over, and that's how we get emblems, is really by making everyone sacrifice creatures. -9 is great, but I don't really think we're going to get it. It's really there just to make a zombie, draw us a bunch of cards, and just flip Sephiroth while acting as kind of a removal. Going into creatures, a Cursed Marauder is actually such a great example of it, right? When a Cursed Marauder enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature. That's each player, so we're going to have to sacrifice one, and honestly, it's just going to be Cursed Marauder, or if we have like a token or whatever. So the cool thing about Sephiroth and how we can flip him extremely easily is, say we played Sephiroth turn 3, and then we play a Cursed Marauder turn 4, we have to sacrifice a creature. Each other opponent has to sacrifice a creature. Assuming we're in a pot of 4, 4 creatures have died. We drain 4, gain 4, and Sephiroth flips, and now we have an emblem. It's really, really that easy to flip him. Avenger of the Fallen is, I think, really good in the deck. We have a high density of creatures just because we're Aristocrats. Death Touch and Mobilize X, where X is the number of cards in our graveyard. And so, you know, the whole new Mobilize with Tarkir, whenever it's X, you know, you make X tapped attacking 1/1s, so they're red creature tokens, and you sack them at the end step. The idea is, I mean, even just like getting 3 creatures and just attacking with like 3 extra creatures and then killing off those creatures just to help drain is really good. And I think we have a total of like 38 creatures in the deck. So honestly, like, don't expect anywhere near that. But even if we're milling or a lot of our creatures are dying or we fill our graveyard, like, even Mobilize 5 is no joke. Ayara, First of the Lockwing, we're mono black, despite the red creature tokens from Avenger of the Fallen. Whenever she or another black creature enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life and we gain 1 life, and then we can tap it and sacrifice another black creature to draw a card. So we're just going to have a lot of tokens really enter just passively, and that's kind of it. We're going to drain a lot, we're going to gain a lot, and then if we want to sacrifice them, we can draw a card real quick, trigger Sephiroth. Sounds good to me. Blood Artist, it's just Sephiroth's bottom ability. Whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. That's really what we want to do. We want creatures dying. Bloodghast. This creature can't block. It has haste as long as you have 10 or less life, and then landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So there's honestly a handful of cards in this deck, and honestly this page is a really good example of them all. We have Blood Artist for the kind of drain abilities that we want. We have cards like Bloodghast for the cards that we want to sacrifice repeatedly over and over and over again. And Carrion Feeder as sack outlets. So like this prime example, like even if this was our board, a good setup would be like sacrifice Bloodghast, drain an opponent, put a counter on Carrion Feeder, play a land, get back Bloodghast, you know, sacrifice it to Carrion Feeder again. Stuff like that is kind of what we're wanting. Basically, Bloodghast comes back relatively frequently, ideally once a turn. Carrion Feeder can't block. He's a sack outlet. Sacrifice creature, put a counter on him. Hopefully, he'll get massive. Cryptghast. The Extort is nice, but we really do that passively just through the deck anyways. It's whenever we tap a swamp for black, we just get 2 swamps, right? So we're basically doubling our mana. Drivnod is functionally here to double up all of our dying triggers because we have all the Blood Artist abilities. Whenever a creature dies, that ability triggers. So Drivnod doubles up all of that. We can also pay 4 life and exile 3 creatures from our graveyard to make him indestructible. And he's an 8/3, which I'm not complaining. It's just a very weird PT. Endrick Sar, I can never pronounce his name right. The Master Breeder. Whenever you cast a creature spell, make X 1/1 black Thrall creature tokens where X is spell mana value. And then if we have 7 or more Thralls, sacrifice Endrick Sar. Now the cool thing is we're never going to let that happen, because ideally we have so many sack outlets like Carrion Feeder and a bunch of the other ones that you'll see throughout the video, that basically every time we cast a creature, we'll get a bunch of Thralls, which we will then kill immediately. Ideally, we will kill them immediately with any number of sack abilities, deal that much damage to a player, gain that much life. That's what we want, right? So Endrick Sar is just a great way to make all of the creatures that we cast come with buddies. Flashback Marauder, another one of those, enters the battlefield. Each player sacrifices a creature. 4 creatures get sacrificed. Sephiroth flips. Forsaken Miner is great. 2/2 for 1, can't block, doesn't matter. Whenever you commit a crime, you may pay a black, and if you do, return him from the grave to the battlefield. So Sephiroth's ability specifically says deal 1 damage to target opponent, right? Loses 1 life, and we gain 1 life. We're targeting an opponent, we are committing crimes. So really, whenever one of those Blood Artist abilities happen, we can pay a life to return him, or a mana to return him. So he's a very repeatable creature to sack, and he can go infinite pretty easily. Gisa, the Hellraiser. Ward 2, pay 2 life. That's a big ward. Skeletons and zombies you control, +1/+1. I have menace, very cool, right? But the whole crime thing, just like Forsaken Miner, all of our Blood Artist abilities are going to target. Whenever you commit a crime, create 2 black zombies, or 2/2s, that functionally are 3/3s with menace, right? So the idea with this, right, is let's say on our turn, we'll sacrifice Forsaken Miner, right? Target opponent, they'll drain it if we have a Blood Artist effect on the field, right? We then get 2 tapped 2/2 zombies. Then what we'll do, since Gisa only triggers once a turn, next player's turn, we'll sacrifice a creature, target an opponent. We'll get 2 more zombies. So now we have 3 zombies. Sacrifice 1, get another 2. Now we have 4 zombies, right? And then on our turn, ideally, we'll have 6 untapped 3/3 zombies with menace. And it's just repeatable fodder. Gravecrawler is another good infinite. It's an easier infinite, I would say, than Forsaken Miner, right? Functionally, we have a lot of zombies in this deck. So we can just keep casting them over and over and over again. Basically 1 mana to drain a bunch of players, which is great. Gary's good, right? He doesn't have a ton of intrinsic value for particularly what we're trying to do with aristocrats, but we're mono black, and he'll drain for a ton. Grim Harspecks, just whenever a non-token creature dies, draw a card. We kill off a lot of our non-token creatures, for example, Gravecrawler and Forsaken Miner. Infestation Sage, these are a lot of other good sack guys that just kind of double up, right? They replace themselves. So whenever Infestation Sage dies, we make a 1/1, right? So basically we sacrifice it, and then he replaces himself, and we can sacrifice it again. And then ideally late game, we can recur him and just kind of start looping him. Jadar Ghoul Caller of Nephalia. At the beginning of our end step, if we don't have a creature with Decayed, make a creature with Decayed. We'll just sacrifice that. So ideally, we're getting rid of it on our turn, and it's replacing itself. Lord Skitter, the same kind of logic with these 2 cards. It's just they're going to make a token every single turn, or on each of our turns, that we can then sacrifice and go nuts with. Lord Skitter's great just because whenever a rat enters, we can exile up to 1 card from an opponent's graveyard. So it's a good way to just also have Grave Hate on top of the rats we're making. And again, it really doesn't matter that they can't block, because we gain so much life in this deck, it's like not even funny. Marionette Apprentice has Fabricate 1. Almost always you're going to bring the buddy. You're not going to put a counter on her. Whenever another creature or artifact is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. Really good. So when we kill off our creatures, each opponent loses 1 life. And now, I know it doesn't sound like a whole lot, but the whole point of these, aristocrat decks are functionally, if we have 1 ability like Marionette Apprentice, it's going to take a while. But when we have like 5 abilities like Marionette Apprentice, the game's going to be over relatively quick. Merciless Executioner, same logic, Fleshbag Marauder, Accursed Marauder, enters battlefield, everyone sacrificed, we flip Sephiroth. Mike is pretty good. Really, you can almost ignore the top 2 abilities. Well, the human one can kind of be relevant, I don't know. But whenever another non-human creature you control dies, really, you get a 2-for-1. So almost always, like, they have Undying, they're going to come back with 1/1 counter, so every death trigger is kind of doubled up in a weird roundabout way. Like, Merciless Executioner is a good example of this, right? Let's say Mike's on the field. We play Merciless Executioner. We sacrifice Merciless Executioner to itself. It comes back with an Undying counter on it. We do it again. We sacrifice it to itself. So it kind of doubles up those abilities. Morbid Opportunist, whenever 1 or more creatures die, draw a card, happens only once a turn. Same kind of reasoning with Gisa, just kill a creature on each opponent's turn. Nether Trader, pretty much the same idea of like Forsaken Miner and like Ghoulcrawler, just whenever another creature is put into your graveyard from play, you can pay 1 mana to return Nether Trader. So it just kind of comes right back. It's just great fodder. Ophiomancer is very scary to attack into, honestly. We make every upkeep, each upkeep, right? Not just ours, everyone's upkeep, we make a 1/1 Black Snake with Death Touch. Like, who wants to attack into that? And it's also great because we want to sack all of them all the time. So the idea is, before every upkeep, we sacrifice the snake we have to then make another snake. Pawn of Ulamog, whenever it or another non-token creature dies, we just make an Eldrazi Scion. So kind of like it makes all of our like non-tokens 2-for-1 and replace themselves with this great. Pitiless Plunder, whenever a creature we control dies, make a treasure. Not another non-token creature, just whenever a creature dies, which is really, really big. We'll make a lot of treasure with that. Platecrafter, again, another one of those everyone sacrifice a creature. He's good and he's not as good, right? Because he hits planeswalkers too, so people might not automatically flip with Platecrafter. But it's also good because it's like, okay, he hits creatures. If they don't have a creature, he hits a planeswalker. And if someone has neither, they discard a card, which is still pretty good. Reassembling Skeleton, just we can keep sacrificing him over and over and over again. Pretty good. Sanguinary Priest has lifelink. Whenever another creature you control dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. And since he has lifelink and is dealing damage, we gain 1 life. So functionally a Blood Artist. But since it's to any target, we can start killing off creatures and planeswalkers. Sifter of Skulls is almost exactly the same card as like Pawn of Ulamog. Just whenever a non-token dies, you get a Scion to replace it. Venerated Stormsinger, brand new from Tarkir. He's got Mobilize, and then whenever he or another creature we control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and gain 1. Again, we have so many of these effects of just whenever a creature dies, drain. Vengeful Blood Witch, Whenever this or another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 and we gain 1. So actually, this is a good example because here are the differences. We have Vengeful Bloodwitch, which targets, and Venerated Stormsinger, which does not target, because Venerated Bloodwitch hits only 1, while Stormsinger hits everyone. Ideally, we want more of the everyone, but we're mono black, so we only have so many options. Viscera Seer, sacrifice a creature, scry 1. It's a 1 mana sack outlet. It's fantastic. And we can sacrifice Viscera Seer, worst case, to scry 1. Warren Soul Trader, pay a life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. This is an infinite combo with cards, say, like, if let's say we have a Blood Artist on the field and Warren Soul Trader, and then any of those cards like Forsaken Miner or Ghoul Crawler, right? Or Grave Crawler, it's just pay a life, sacrifice a creature. Say we have Grave Crawler, sacrifice Grave Crawler. Creature died. We gain a life. Someone loses a life. We make a treasure token. Use that treasure token. Play Grave Crawler again. You guys get the idea, right? We're not losing any life because we're kind of going neutral on it if we only have 1 Aristocrat. But it'll kill someone. And it's functionally infinite mana for us, kind of. Not infinite mana, but like, it's infinite triggers of those. Woe Strider enters to make a goat. Then we can sacrifice another creature to scry 1, and then we can escape it from our graveyard if we want. Why not? Wriggling Grub is the best of the replacement guys. Whenever it dies, you make 2 dudes. So just kind of, it's literally a 2-for-1, which is great. Then we have Yogg. Pro-humans, he is a human. Pay a life, sacrifice another creature to put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 target creature and draw a card. Really, really good. Great sack outlet. It hurts our opponents and we draw cards. Proliferating, are we gonna do it? No. Is it an option? Yeah. Like, we don't really care about the proliferate. It's really, really just to, you know, sack creatures. And then finally, we have Zulaport Cutthroat. Just whenever he or another creature we control dies, he hits everyone for 1. Going into sorceries. Feed the Swarm, destroy target creature or enchantment an opponent controls, we lose life equal to the permanent's mana value. We don't have a big interest in killing creatures, just because we can do that so efficiently anyways with all of our, like, Accursed Marauders and, like, all of the Merciless Executioner. Like, those kind of abilities are kind of going to keep our opponent's creatures clear. So really it's to hit enchantments. There's almost nothing we can do against artifacts. Reanimate, just a quick reanimate a creature. Unearth is a baby version of Reanimate. Most of the deck is under 3 CMC. So it's really not that bad. I doubt we'll cycle it, but Unearth is really good for getting back, like, an Aristocrat piece or a sack outlet like Warren Soul Trader or whatever. We have Victimize to choose 2 creatures in our graveyard and sacrifice, like, a token, and then we get 2 of those creatures back, so it's literally a 2-for-1. Will of the Abzan is great, because ideally we always have Sephiroth on the field. I know he's not needed to win, but ideally, like, he's cool. We want him. Choose 1, we have Sephiroth do both. Any number of target opponents, that's everyone. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control, and then we get to reanimate a creature from our graveyard to the battlefield. So, really good. Also, they lose 3 life each, so very good spell. Deadly Rollick, again, the idea is we always have Sephiroth, so just because we want him to stick around. If you control a commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost. We do. Exile a creature. Doesn't trigger him, but it's sometimes like there are some creatures we just want to get rid of. Malakir, Rebirth, choose target creature. It's probably Sephiroth. When he dies, return him to the battlefield tapped. He's honestly a tricky commander because he's very dead on board. He's such a scary commander that people are going to want to kill him right away. So having these little abilities, or even just having a quick double up of one of our, like, sack outlets, or double up on a death trigger or whatever of one of our guys, is pretty solid. Shieldred's Edict, each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature, very solid. And then Withering Torment, really just the other card to get rid of enchantments. We'll lose 2 life, who cares? Going into artifacts, we have Arcane Signet because it taps for, it's really just a color. Ashnod's Altar, the big altar, sacrifice a creature, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool, and do that only as a mana source. It's just literally sacrifice a creature, get 2 colors to your mana pool. Ideally, we're sacrificing our creatures frequently, and, like, we're sacrificing them for an effect, right? Like, Viscera Seer's effect is good. Carrion Feeder's effect is good, but they kind of like don't really do too much, where we have Ashnod's Altar that actively generates us a ton of mana. Bolas' Citadel. Is it good? Yes, of course it's good. Does it make sense in this deck? Yeah, kinda. It's a sack ability. Are there better options? Probably, yeah. I just like it because it lets us play cards from the top of our deck. We gain so much life, it doesn't really matter anyways. And then we can sacrifice 10 non-land permanents to make each opponent lose 10. And if we have these big double-up abilities, or aristocrats, they lose a lot. I'm only saying it's not great just because it costs so much mana. Like, we're a pretty low CMC deck generally, but like that kind of ability that doesn't like directly like win the game is, and like if we just have a land on top, we could just cry. Bontu's Monument. Black creatures cost 1 less. We're a mono black deck. Whenever you cast a creature, each opponent loses 1 life and we gain a life. Great. Crowded Crypt is a mana rock, and then whenever a creature we control dies, we put a corpse counter on it. And then late game, we can pay 6 mana, sacrifice it to make a Decayed Zombie for each counter on it. The way I realistically look at this card is we'll probably just get to 6 counters on it by the time we want to pop it. Like, we'll get to a point in the game where, like, we have enough mana to do what we want to do, and we'd rather just get, like, 6 dudes that we can then sacrifice to all of our aristocrats and just drain everyone for a bunch. Jet Medallion, we're a mono black deck. Black spells costing 1 less is very solid. Lightning Greaves, really just put it on Sephiroth. We only have like a couple cards that actually target him, and just keeping him safe is good. And plus, since he'll have haste, we can have him enter, sacrifice a creature, draw a card, attack, sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Phyrexian Altar, sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Now, Phyrexian Altar, like a zombie, aristocrat, and Gravecrawler, or any of those, that's like the true infinite, like, you're dead, we gain infinite life. We sacrifice it infinite times, we get all that good stuff. Skull Clamp is also good, just to pay 1 mana, put it on like a 1/1 or whatever to kill it and draw 2 cards and then trigger off everything. Or we just put it on one of our other creatures and then just sacrifice that creature to any of our sack abilities and also just draw 2 cards. Soul Ring is Soul Ring, it's our final artifact. It taps for a lot of mana. Going into enchantments, we have Bastion of Remembrance. When it enters, make a dude, and then whenever one of our creature dies, drain each opponent. Chthonian Nightmare, I really, really like. Enters the battlefield, we get 3 energy, right, for 2 mana. Pay X energy and sacrifice a creature. Return Chthonian Nightmare to its owner's hand, and then return target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's basically a repeatable Unearth. That's how I look at this. It is a 2 mana repeatable Unearth that we can just keep doing and bouncing them and sacrificing like a token, and then like, especially for all the guys that replace themselves, whatever, right? Most of the decks under 3 CMC anyways. Dictative Erebus to make our opponents hate us. Whenever we sacrifice a creature, they sacrifice a creature. Let me repeat that to make it even better. Flash, whenever one of our creatures dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. So ideally, we're really keeping the board clear. And to make it even worse, we have Grave Pact, which is an exact copy of it, but it doesn't have Flash. Phyrexian Reclamation is really good just to kind of, just another option to have repeatable recursion, just because like when we're killing off our creatures, we want to have reliable ways to always get them back. Meathook Massacre is a nuke when we need it, or it's a 2 mana aristocrat piece. Whenever a creature we control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and then whenever one of our opponent's creatures die, we gain a life. So pretty good. It's either a nuke or it's just 2 mana aristocrat. We finally have Funeral Room and Awakening Hall. Whenever a creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and we gain 1 life. That's what we want, is Funeral Room. That is the realistic part. Awakening Hall is the dream if we can get to it. It's a mass reanimation. So, very, very good, but really, Funeral Room is good. Going into lands, we have Bojuka Bog to exile a grave. Cabal Coffers, it doesn't tap for mana by itself, but we pay 2 mana to tap for a black for each swamp we control. We're mono black, so we have a lot of them. Cabal Stronghold is kind of the baby version of Cabal Coffers. So Cabal Stronghold does tap for a colorless right away, and then we can pay 3 mana and tap it to add a black for each basic swamp we control. Cabal Coffers is better. Cabal Stronghold is very good as well. We're mono black, we'll take a ton of mana. Cavernous Souls, really for Sephiroth, we'll just say human. We also have 12 other just humans in the deck, so that's very solid either way. Command Beacon is really like when Sephiroth dies, like the idea is we want to get as many emblems as we can just to kind of go nuts. And eventually, like, if we keep doing it, like, he'll just cost too much. Like, if Sephiroth is costing, like, 9 mana, we're not casting him. Like, we're just not. That's too ridiculous. But we can sacrifice a land late game and then just get him for a quick 3 cost one more time. Fountain Port is just really, really good. It taps for a colorless, but we can sacrifice one of our tokens to draw a card. We can we can also pay life and make a fish, and then we can just pay 4 and make a treasure. So I look at Fountain Port as kind of like like we went and then player A goes, player B goes, say player C goes, and then before it's our turn, like if we didn't use it as a land, it's like, okay, well, what can we dump into it? Like what benefit can we get out of it? We have Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. We're a mono black deck, so ideally we get a lot of black pips and a lot of mana. Phyrexian Tower to sacrifice our creatures for black, which is really, really good. And then Spymaster's Vault, I really like the idea for Sephiroth's flip side, because Sephiroth's flip side says whenever he attacks, sacrifice like any number of creatures you want. So Spymaster's Vault is a black and tap to make target creature you control connive X, where X the number of creatures that died. So we can like basically, he's a 5/5, right? So we can sacrifice even, let's say, 5 creatures. We'll connive 5 times. Like that's very, very solid. And we're drawing 5 cards just right off Sephiroth's ability, and we can really, really filter our hand out. And then finally, we have 25 swamps. We're a mono black deck. I believe that's about 35 lands, maybe 36 with an MDFC. But either way, that's plenty. We're a very low CMC deck. But that's all I got for you guys. Get the cards you need from the link right down below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think of it, and I will see you guys next time.